If you're peeing when you run, I have 4 tips for you that are a must to do during your run to keep you dry. As a pelvic health physiotherapist and a mom of 3, I was suffering from severe incontinence and prolapse after I gave birth. I'm now back to running half marathons from doing the right exercises and following these tips. Don't forget to subscribe to my page on the bottom right of this video for more tips and tricks, and to check out my other videos on pelvic floor exercises for runners. Tip number 1 is our form. And as females, and especially postpartum, we tend to want to be back here. See how posture changes can happen during pregnancy? Our center of gravity can be shifted back with our growing bellies. So our hips are forward and our shoulders are back to compensate. And then our postpartum posture, those hips want to stay shifted forward and our upper body is leaned back slightly. So we're often still in that same posture when we're running. See how my upper body is leaning back and my heels are hitting the ground in front of me? This does not allow your pelvic floor to work very well. I want you to try to lean forward a little more. We should be about 10 degrees forward at your ankles. So it's not a huge amount. Pretend you're running up a hill, and that's that slight lean forward you should be doing. In fact, if you actually try putting your treadmill on a big incline just to see what happens and just to see what it feels like, you'll see it puts you in that nice forward position. So check out this first picture where he's running up a hill and see how nice that forward lean position his body is in. But then I also want you to check out this second picture where he's on a flat surface, but his body is almost in that exact same forward lean position. It's actually a more efficient running position overall. It allows you to use your glutes to push back, which is one of the strongest muscles in our body, and it really allows our pelvic floor to work the most optimal way. Tip number 2 is running down a hill. What do we tend to do when we're going down a hill? We tend to lean back and strike with our heel to slow us down. That translates all the impact to our pelvis and our pelvic floor. You may have already noticed that your leaking worsens running down a hill, and that has everything to do with your body position and that extra impact it's putting through your pelvic floor. Check out this video where I'm running down a hill. I'm going to slow it down here. See how my body position is leaned way back and I'm striking with my heel. So all of that pressure or all of that impact is going to be going straight up through my leg into my pelvic floor. Not very efficient running, not great for leaking. Now this next video, I'm going to be running in a better way. So try to keep your gaze about 10 to 15 meters in front of you. Shorten your strides, but increase the speed of your stride. Fight that tendency to lean back and use your heel strike to slow you down. Continue that slight lean forward to land on your midfoot, and this should drastically improve that leaking when you're running down a hill. So our third tip is landing softly. The less we're slamming through the ground, the less impact that is going to be going through our pelvic floor, which is also going to be better on the rest of our body as well. So how are we going to do that? Make sure you're striking the ground or landing with your foot under your pelvis, not out in front. We can absorb that impact much better when our foot lands under us rather than out in front slamming through our heel. Next is to land in your midfoot, not your heel. And this goes along with above, and it's going to be a lot easier to land in your midfoot when your foot is under you than on your heel when it's out in front. Take smaller, quicker strides rather than longer strides. And this is better for our pelvic floor to absorb the impact, but it's also better in terms of injury prevention for our whole body as well. Then we're going to focus on landing quietly. Let your joints softly absorb the impact. Think about jumping up and down and landing rigid. It's noisy, and it's not really good for our bodies and our joints. Then think about jumping up and down and softly bending at your ankles, your knees, and your hips so that you land quietly and more gentle. And this same thing goes for running, and it helps our pelvic floor not to have to absorb all of that impact by itself. Lastly is breathing. Now this is so important for our pelvic floor, and if you want even more details on this, check out one of my other videos that goes over 5 pelvic floor exercises for runners, and it goes a little bit more in depth and gives you some exercises to work on for this. So breathing using your whole diaphragm and rib cage rather than just breathing up into our chest and shoulders is so important for our pelvic floor. It allows our pelvic floor to move with our body, which it needs to do while we are running to work properly to keep us dry. Every minute or so that you're running, try to take 3 to 5 deep breaths, letting it reach your belly and expand around the bottom of your rib cage. Do this again if you feel yourself starting to leak, or as often as possible during your run. Not only is this going to be helpful for your leaking, but it's also going to be more efficient breathing as you're using your whole lungs to oxygenate your blood. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to either comment and let me know how you liked it, like this video, or subscribe to my page so you don't miss any new videos. Click on the link below to get your free complete guide to your pelvic floor. This guide is going to teach you how to assess different parts of your pelvic floor to figure out where you might be going wrong and why you're having your issues. Because knowing why you're leaking or having your pelvic floor dysfunction is the first step in knowing how we can help it. So give it a download and check it out.